Okay, so story time. So basically one time in 5th grade, my dad took me to get breakfast from Dunkin' Donuts. We went there before school like always, and as we were there, this strange man outside was staring at me and like making faces. Super creepy. We didn't know him or anything, so we walked inside and I was kind of freaked out. I told my dad that I was creeped out by him and he told me that nothing bad was gonna happen. Or so he thought. So we got our foods and we ate it. Everything was fine, chill. After we were done, we got up to leave. The man was gone by now, so I felt better But then on the way to my school, I saw him walking on the sidewalk. Like, I figured he was going to his house or like somewhere else. When we got to my school, no one was outside. It was kind of weird. We went to open the door because my dad was a part of the PTA, so he came in with me. The door for some reason was locked. My music teacher out of nowhere ran out and brought us inside quickly. She told us that our whole school was on code red. Scary. And that a man was in our school, so we went inside and I went and hid in the music room. Like for part 2. Okay, so part 2. So I went and hid in the music room. Dad was in the PTA room, which was close by. Literally started crying because I was so scared and they weren't telling us anything because we were too young. I guess they didn't want to scare us. That didn't work. Once the code red was over, about 30 minutes later, we went to class. I went to go find my dad and make sure he was okay and see if he knew anything, and he didn't. When I got in my classroom, we were all talking about it, and my teacher said that the man just walked in and told them he was looking for one of his teachers from like 15 years back. Huh? They gave us a description of the man, and I realized it was the same man from Dunkin' Donuts. He just walked in my school. I was freaked out because I saw him at Dunkin' Donuts before school started, and I hoped I never saw him again. But a few weeks later, I saw him again multiple times at the same Dunkin' Donuts. He literally just stared at me all the time. So yeah, that's my little story.
Story time on how I beat up my grandma. Yes, my grandma. You heard right. Let's get into it. Okay, so boom. I'm a 16-year-old high school student who finds myself at my grandma's house almost every day. My mom's a single mother and works 2 jobs. And instead of leaving me home alone, she always drops me off at my grandma's house. And this has been our routine ever since I was 5 years old. My mom just felt more comfortable leaving me at my grandma's house. But what my mom didn't know is that I'd rather stay home alone rather than going to my grandma's house. My grandma has been beating me up ever since I was 5 years old. She didn't beat me up for any valid reasons. She would just be mad at me for the smallest things. Like one time I broke her glass chandelier while I was playing with my ball and she hit me. Another time I broke her 50-inch TV by accident and again she hit me. Y'all wouldn't believe this third reason why she beat me up. Like for part 2. Part 2 on how I beat up my 76-year-old grandma. Okay, so boom, like I said, my grandma would always beat me up for the smallest things. None of her reasons were valid. She beat me up once for breaking her glass chandelier while I was playing ball. Another time I broke her 50-inch TV screen on accident and she beat me up again. She even would tell me to wash the dishes, and when I would tell her no, because I don't live here, I shouldn't be washing anything, she would once again beat me up for being quote-unquote disrespectful. All this hitting throughout the years and I was just over it, and my mom always siding with my grandma. Well, I'm 16 now and I was over it. My 76-year-old grandma should have learned to keep her hands to herself. So this particular night she told me to study, but I didn't want to study. I wanted to watch TV, so I told her no straight up. And things escalated like for part 3. Part 3 on how I beat up my 76-year-old grandma. Okay, so boom, like I said, my grandma told me to go study and I told her no, I wanted to watch TV. She said she was sick of my slick mouth and made her way over to hit me. But this time, oh no, I wasn't going for it. I pushed her away from me, then I punched her on her arms and her face. She fell down and started screaming in shock that I even hit her. Once my mom came home, my grandma told my mom what happened and my mom beat the living soul out of me. And my mom told me if I ever raised my hands to my grandma again, she was going to do more than just hit me with a belt. Truth is, my grandma never hit me unless I was rude or broke something, and that happened very often. Come to find out, I actually suffered from aggressive behavior in children and needed to get treated. Thank God I got treated and I'm better now. And me and grandma has a great relationship now. Don't beat up your grandma.
When I was a kid, I was obsessed with serial killers. And in 4th grade, we had to do a project that was who inspires you the most. And I obviously just didn't know what that word meant and came to school and everyone was like, oh, my mom inspires me the most because she makes the best apple pie. And then they called on me and my teacher was like, okay, Jamie, who inspires you the most? And I said, Jack the Ripper. And my teacher was like, okay, why does Jack the Ripper inspire you the most? And I said, because he never got caught. Guess who never got bullied again?
Oh my God! So you're probably wondering what happened. So we were at a stoplight and this car pulled up to us and I was in a good mood. So I rolled down my window and I said, hi. So he looked at me and he looked at his kids and then he opens his car door and he's like, what's up? I was like, so we all start screaming because he wanted to fight us and I was startled. So then he followed us for about 2 miles and we eventually lost him. And then we were on our way back home. And we're driving and we see these 2 kids vibing to music. So we roll down our windows and we start vibing with them. And then I do like the fake finger gun. And then they pulled out a gun on us. They pulled out a Glock on us. So we all screamed and we drove off. Don't listen to your parents and don't talk to strangers.
My house gets more haunted every single day. So as always, I was up late last night because I didn't have school today. So I was up really late doing my makeup, looking all good. And it seems like every time I'm up doing my makeup, something happens. So I go into my dad's room because he has like this really big mirror. And he was at work, so I was like, okay. So I go in there to, look at myself in the mirror, check myself out. And I start hearing little creaks behind me, little tee-tee-tee-tee. So I start getting freaked out and I go to my room to go grab my phone. And my room's like right over there, my dad's room's right over there. And from my room, you could see my dad's mirror. So I'm walking out of my room and I look into my dad's mirror and I see a face staring at me. And what do? You might ask. I ran outside at midnight and I sat out there for about 2 hours. Before I got too tired, I just went to bed.
Do you guys want to see the mirror? This is the mirror that I saw a face in. How beautiful. But it only gets worse.
This story was submitted to me by a follower who would like to remain anonymous. When I was 14, I had a best friend named Lucy, and we had one of those friendships where we were really close really quickly, which I now know is a red flag and usually a sign of a toxic friendship. But I was too young to know this then. Our favorite thing to do together was hang out at the mall. Our parents would let us go alone as long as we abided to one rule. We had to stay together at all times, and we were always pretty good about that. One night we were having a sleepover at Lucy's house and her Uncle Mike came over for dinner. Uncle Mike was pretty loud and goofy. He showed us like 8 magic tricks that night. I liked him, he was fun. But as I was helping clear dishes after dinner, I overheard Mike and Lucy's mom having a hushed conversation in the kitchen. She was like, you've had too much to drink, why don't you just spend the night? So Mike ended up sleeping over that night too. Right before going to sleep, Lucy's mom came into the bedroom, and she told us to remember to shut the bedroom door before falling asleep. When I asked Lucy why she said that, Lucy just shrugged and said, I don't know. But we made sure the bedroom door was shut just like she asked. In the middle of the night, I woke up to the feeling of someone tickling my feet.